All right, we're here to talk about this Starfall install that I performed. This is a pretty unique hilt, as you can see, not just in Nick's design, but a few things that went in with the install as well. So let's hop down to the table. Let's talk about those things. We'll go over the electronics, some considerations I had. We'll hop back out here. I'll show off a few more blade styles and some functions for the customer, and then we'll wrap it up. Thanks for checking it out. Okay, so let's talk about this Starfall install. So this, again, is a full custom commission from Nick, not one of the mystery sabers or any of the line of sabers. So I'm not sure how much input the client had, but clearly we have some sort of dark side, maybe, High Republic look, because we've got kind of this elegant brass and copper against aluminum weathered, but you know, this is clearly like a Palpatine style pommel and a Dooku style shroud around the crystal chamber. But Nick does this hand painted etch resist and then throws it in the acid, so that's really cool. And this unique, you know, pointy shroud at the emitter, which just really cool. I love this kind of play against the copper and brass and aluminum look. So up top, we have a Shtok V3 in the emitter that's just going to mimic what the blade does. We have copper-headed Phil Guinness or Kalymian Custom Sabers soft switches. So with the crystal chamber facing you, left is your power, right is your aux. And then a crystal chamber with a 2020 accent strip behind it that will be visible with the grate behind. And it is sub-bladed out so that it'll do a separate animation than the single 50/50 accent neopixel underneath the crystal. So for the most part, I left the strip off in the off state so that the crystal can pulse or heartbeat or have its own animation. And then when the blade is powered on, then the strip comes on and does different things and has different colors and stuff like that. So just a note to the client, this is a crystal chamber set screw, and this is the Rotary PCB holder set screw. These are a different size than your blade retention screw, which is up top on the backside with the grate accent. So just know not to mess with those so we don't jostle any of the wires or anything like that. Again, the Allen key that's provided is for this size, so you won't have one provided to you. Just know that you don't want to mess with those. But how we get to everything is we just undo the pommel, and then we've got a fully removable chassis printed in PLA and then weathered and rub and buffed in pewter and gold. One thing that is a little bit different on this than I have done on past ones is I've got these 3535 neopixel strips that I've wanted to try, just haven't used them yet on anything. So they're a little bit bigger than the 2020 strips that go behind the crystal chamber, but just something I wanted to try. But because they are, you know, a little bit bigger, they take up most of the design room. So we just have some embossed patterns here that I painted in gold. But we got a Proffie V3 running OS 7.13. Config is on the SD card if you want to play around with it. We got a 28mm KR bass speaker, high amp kill switch, custom wrap battery. This is being provided. This is an 18650 Keeppower, 3000 milliamp hour battery, high current drain. Spring side your negative, positive clearly indicated, Starfall logo on the battery tray. So flat side of the battery to the spring, nipple to the nipple. And then when this is upright, this says diadium. So we hit the kill switch. So our accent strip will do different things in the on and off state, just depending on which preset it's on. But we do have twist on and twist off. So when we're ready, we can put it into the hilt, and you can see the pogo pins down there. So Shtok Rotary PCB up top. And then once we get towards the end, you'll sort of feel those pogo pins depress and then you'll see the crystal light up. So again, we can hit power. See that strip in the back, different color, shows up through the grate. Emitter lighting it up like it should. Everything reacts. And then we can twist off. So yeah, to move forward in presets, you hit the aux switch. But if we want to go backwards, we can point the hilt down.
Battery level.
And then the very last preset's a battery level indicator. So I did program the crystal and the strip behind the crystal to go from a green to a red. Green obviously being a good charge, red being bad. And then when the blade is in, you'll have a little bubble. The further out to the tip it is, the more the charge, and then the closer it gets to the hilt, and it'll change color to like a yellow to a red. And then that'll be a lower charge. But if you want an on-demand on any preset, you can hold aux and tap power.
Battery level 97%.
And then you can see that's Brian Connor's voice pack. That's the narrator from the Clone Wars. But yeah, we'll just
Starfall.
Hit a couple presets here, show you the accent.
Celestial.
So again, just different color than the crystal and the blade, so that the strip, looks more interesting. But for the most part, they will both respond to clashes, blaster blocks and such. And then not all of them do the same thing. So this looks like a heartbeat maybe, where the last one was like a pulse.
Hero's Journey.
And then hero just blinks. So this is the one or two exceptions. This because this is ruin and it's an unstable. I thought it'd be cooler to have a lot more activity in the crystal chamber. So in the off state, you got the heartbeat on the crystal, and then a pulse in the accents, and then starts up really cool.
Reconcile.
So we'll take this one out and show the chassis strip. So what you're noticing there is I did a twist on, which will get us into battle mode. I'll explain that here in a second. So when we clash, we're actually getting into a full lockup. So that's the Saber. Again, these accents, whether it's with the chassis out or with it in and the crystal showing, I've programmed the timeout at, I think, 5 minutes. So after 5 minutes, it'll go to sleep. It's not a deep sleep, so there will be some drain on the battery. So you can just either hit the kill switch or wake it back up with a button press, and then that'll show the lights again. It won't turn the whole thing on. It'll just light up again, and then you'll be able to get to it. So let's put a blade in it. Let's go over the rest of it. It takes a 1-inch diameter neopixel blade, and I programmed it for 32 inches. So if that's not something you have to the customer, then let me know before I shut this out and we can change that. But yeah, that'll cover this part of it. Okay, so we talked about the install. We showed off some of the presets, and then we went over a few of the button commands. But now that we have a blade in, let's go over a few more. So up top of this video, you saw me start the Saber in the first of 3 ways. So we can hit power, or we can twist on, or we can thrust on. The 2 gesture controls will get us into battle mode. Up top of this video, I showed regular mode. And so what that means is if you want to engage a lockup, you have to hold either aux or power as you clash the Saber. And so if you engage battle mode, you just don't have to do that. So let's show that off real quick again, just to remind us. Now we're in regular mode, and a clash will just show glancing blows. I don't know how well that shows up on camera. But if I do want to engage a lockup, I can hold either aux or power as I clash the saber. Okay. You have twist off, but if we twist on or thrust on, then we'll engage battle mode, and so that just means we don't have to hold that button when we want to engage a lockup. So as long as we don't pull immediately away from a glancing clash, then we'll engage that lockup. Now a lockup can also be tip effects. So if we're sideways, we'll be in melt, or if we're upside down, we'll be a drag. So let's show that off real quick. Now we're in battle mode, so a clash engages a lockup until we pull away. So same if we're sideways. We twist on a melt, we'll change the colors, and the longer we hold it, the more animated it gets until we pull away. And you can see I was moving around just a tad, so as long as you don't pull away. So here's a melt, I'm sorry, a drag. So that's battle mode. Okay, let's go to a different preset.
Reconcile.
I did also want to show that ruin because that is the one of the only one of the Starfall fonts that has a pre-on, which you can only get with a button press. If you do a gesture control, I don't know if you noticed, but it just bypassed that little quick pre-on. If we want to start and stop a track, the designated track, we have to hold the hilt upright, or if we want to engage track player mode, then we have to be horizontal. We'll hold power for a second in the off state. Now we can start and stop a track with the blade on, but we can only start and stop the designated track. So let's show that off real quick. So we'll just ignite the saber, right? So if we hold it completely upright, but with the blade on, if we're not upright, we'll engage a force or a quote depending on your font or your preset. So if I hold power for a second, we heard that sound effect. Now I've programmed it to do like an unstable blade only for as long as a sound effect occurs. Again, that's hold for a second in the when the blade is on. Okay, but if we're in the off state and we're horizontal and we hold for a second, get that little chime, and then if we rotate one way, we'll go backwards at the preset. If we rotate forward, we'll go forward. But if we want to continue playing the track that we've currently on, then we can either hit power or aux. There will be a printout that explains all of what each does. We just hold it again for a second. So that's track player. You'll hear a little chime and then it'll start playing. And I've provided a whole lot, what you heard, a whole lot of extra tracks just for fun. The designated tracks for each preset are kind of Star Wars canon, so to speak. They're just what we normally program for Nick Sabers. Yeah, so those are in the common folder, and the common folder is what has the voice pack for if you're gonna go into edit mode, and then tracks are all there. And then that way each preset, no matter which one you're on, will always be able to access that full list of tracks. Again, that's just track player mode. If you want to do the designated, hold it upright. And then you'll start the one that I've pre-selected for this particular font or preset. If we want to do a color change, quick caveat, you will change all of the accent effects to be the same as the main blade color. So if you don't want to do that, if you like how everything's programmed, then I highly suggest getting into edit mode. But we can hold aux and tap power when the blade is on. You'll get that little notification, and then again you'll hear the voice pack
Red, orange, red, dark orange, orange, gold, yellow.
But if you see that in the crystal chamber, it's changing everything to be the same. So if we don't want to do that, we hit aux to revert, or if we do want that to happen, then we'll press power.
Revert.
So I'm just going to revert because I've got this pre-programmed. The reason I say that is because like I said, I programmed the crystal chamber accent strip to be a different color so that it shows better of what's going on behind the crystal. But you can read about edit mode and how to get into it. It's pretty easy. It's just the edit modes can get deep because there's a lot of features in OS 7. So I'll let you read up on how to do that. But again, blade 1 is the main blade, and that's probably the only one you really want to change. If you do want to change the crystal, that's blade 2. If you want to change the strip, that's blade 3. And then if you want to change the chassis strip, that's blade 4. So hopefully that makes sense if you know anything about Proffie. If not, there's a link on the printout that I'll have for you. You can go and learn all about the FET263 prop file. So yeah, so that's color change. Now, one thing I will mention is that the only preset on here that doesn't behave like that is Corn Horn, which now we're on. So this is the lore of this particular saber. In the book I Jedi, Corn Horn had a dual phase crystal. So Nick has us program it to go between the two colors that it was mentioned in the book, I believe. I'm not really up on the lore, but it'll start off in a white, and then if you do the color change, hold Ox-Tap power, it'll wipe to a light purple. And I've made that happen also in the crystal chamber, and I believe maybe on the strip as well. I'm forgetting whether or not that's true, but let's demonstrate that real quick. So here we got that whitish silver blade. You'll notice the strip in the back is that purple. It's gonna focus on me. But if we hit color change, you can see it's now purple. You can see that crystal chamber is now also purple. And then you just do that again, and now we're back to white on both of those. So that's color change. So that'll cover most of it. Anything else will be covered in the printout. There's a lot that this can do, and there's a lot that I, haven't really gone into in this video, but you can learn all of the things in that, either the website or the printout. So let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for checking it out.